We are discussion agenda. Item 13, discussion and first reading proposed revisions to policy GCG, part-time and substitute professional staff employment.
Ms. Hammond, I have a motion to make. I move that we table item 13 because it was related to the earlier vote on substitute teachers.
Good.
Right, so we table the vote, table
So I don't
discussion,
need-
table
right.
discussion,
Okay,
sorry.
so that, we didn't have to vote on, we did that already. Okay. 14, discussion and first reading proposed revisions to policy JQ, student fees, fines, and charges, Exhibit G. Thank you, Ms. Rawls.
Madam Chair, Dr. Melton, members of the board, I bring to you this policy of revision for policy JQ. This has to do with how we are receiving and waiving fees for students that are unable to pay. I am making a recommendation that we change it based on whether the student is characterized as a pupil in poverty versus free and reduced lunch. Pupils in poverty is what the state is using as indication, and that indicates the student is receiving SNAP, TANF, Medicaid, they're a foster child, a migrant, or homeless and runaway. We receive funding from the state based on this indication that goes through the Power School system, and I just recommend that we change the policy to reflect what the state has moved to. Especially important right now while we are all receiving food and our lunches and breakfast for free.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of families that are not completing the free and reduced lunch form, and so this will actually provide a better way of monitoring who should and should not, when fees should be waived and when they should not be waived. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Dr. Rawls, do you foresee because I've thought about that free and reduced, free lunch because of COVID, do you see that that'll just be stopped probably by the federal government by next year, and that's so important for you to get these numbers right for the budget, or we don't really know?
I don't know what's going to happen. I think it really depends on how fast the country rebounds from the COVID and pandemic. So I don't know what will happen with free and reduced lunch. Like I said, I can tell you the state is using this pupils in poverty indicator, and it's more constant. Free and reduced is sometimes they are and sometimes they aren't, and it goes in and out. This is a much more constant indicator, and it's better for us and better for the families.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Seeing none? All right. Thank you, Ms. Rawls.
Yes,
15, discussion of the FY 2020. Oh, I didn't think we had to. Oh, we do. I thought it was discussion. Sorry. Keep me straight, Mr. Lovelace. It's late. It's late.
Okay, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the first reading proposal for revisions to policy JQ, student fees, fines, and charges, Exhibit G, as presented by Ms. Ross.
Is there a second? Ms. Hines seconds. Any other discussion from what we've just heard? All those in favor? And that is everybody? 7? Oh, you wasn't sure what? Well, it passed, so it's okay. So that's 6. Number 15. Keep me straight, Mr. Lovelace. Discussion of the FY 2022 General Fund Budget, seen in Exhibit H.
Yes, ma'am. This is for information only. This is not for a vote tonight, but just for discussion. This is a list of items that are General Assembly items. The kind of some items that you'll see what's in the House, what's in the Senate version, a little bit of variance there. We will probably, honestly, not know a final version of the budget out of the General Assembly until mid or late June is what it's looking like right now. So these are, you can see there's a huge variance between base student costs between the two chambers. There is, in the Senate, has come up with the employer health insurance increase premium, but they've also added a 5% increase to bus driver salary. All these are General Assembly items at the state level. The next slide provides items at the district level. You see here what the 135-day average daily membership ended up with is the 16,444. up a little bit from the 45th day of this school year. I think we're going to see even a more increase when we get to the 45th day of next school year, when students come back over the summertime. Another item on here that is getting a lot of press lately is National Board Certification. I get a lot of questions from teachers about this, the local supplement and the state supplement. There's legislation currently pending before the General Assembly for teachers that are gone through their second renewal to be able to continue to receive state funding. I don't know which way that's going to go, and I actually checked out with some colleagues this morning, and everybody feels it's up in the air. But currently, the district provides a $5,000 local supplement, and that would be a decision that you all would need to make if you want to continue to provide that local supplement, even if the state does not provide the supplement and the stipend to the teacher after the 20 years. Received a lot of questions about salary schedules lately. One of the things I would recommend is that we look at the support staff and the admin schedule that currently end at 19 years, and we look at adding a 20th year plus, and then continue to add 1 year every year so that those staff can, we're going to retain the staff members if we continue to provide step increases for them. It really is disheartening and you should see some of the emails that I've received. I've worked for this district for so many years, and I don't feel appreciated anymore. And I feel like we've got to retain those staff members that have stuck through the district through the last 20 plus years. So my recommendation, you'll see when the salary schedules come at the first reading, would be to add another year for support staff and admin salary schedules. And in the teacher salary schedule, we combine the year 24 to 26, look at separating those into individual steps so that the teachers who have worked 24, 25, and 26 years would realize the step increase when that happens for them. These are the projected revenues. This is based on the 135th day enrollment. This is updated a little bit from what you saw last time because this is on the 135th day, not the 45th day. The total revenues projected are the $201,694,166. It's about a 37% to 63% split local versus state revenues. Next slide provides the expenditures. We talked in the workshop about the difference between the salaries and fringe percentage and everything else. We're at about an 88 to 12% ratio, so 88% being salaries and fringe and everything else being about 12%, so still within the range of the general practice for expenditures for a year. Again, this is general fund expenditures. So as you can see, what we're providing is a balanced budget. Our expenditures and our revenues are matched. You've seen this slide before. We still do not have updated information for population growth, so I'm not able to provide you what your operating millage cap increase would be for this year. Again, the look-back mills are 22.6 mills from years before when you did not exercise the mill cap increase for operating millage. This is the calendar that you have seen in the past. The conference, this is the last week of legislative session. Conference committee members have not been named yet. They have 6 days in the month of June that they will come back at different periods of time. Depending on how much they get through this week is how soon we estimate a budget to be. The earliest it's going to be is middle of June, which I think they come back on the 14th and 15th, if I'm not mistaken. And again, this was just for a presentation for discussion. Do not need a vote tonight, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Mr. Lovelace.
Okay, I got a call from a teacher friend of mine that said, and I didn't know this, but, and this may, I hope I've got the right years, but anyway, step increases for years 27, 28, and 29 are not, are there periods of time where there are no step increases before?
That's the 24 to 26 year that I was talking about. It's a combined span of time versus individual steps for those years, and our schedule does end at 27 years. We may look at maybe next year, because there's a cost, whenever we spread it out, it'll be a cost implication. It may be that next year we're able to add the 28th year to the schedule. I would hesitate to add more to it right now since we're already spreading things out. It's going to be It was about $300,000 to spread those years out with the teachers. So I think that that's probably about the most financial that we would be able to sustain this year, but I mean, we certainly can look at that if you wanted to add.
Would you look at, I mean, if, Dr. Melton, would you look at each of those years to see, what the outlay would be if we provided
This budget
that?
does include the 24, 25, and 26 being separated.
Right.
So the numbers I've provided you, I have already separated the 24, 25, and 26 year and added the 20th year to the support and admin schedules.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Huddle?
Ms. Rawls, I was just curious, and I might be the only one that's confused by it, but the way, how much money we have in our fund balances, both our operating fund and our capital budget funds, and where those fund balances are already spoken for versus where they're unassigned, unallocated. I know you have your terminology, but I was just wondering when we have our first reading, if it would be possible to maybe do a slide or something on that.
Sure, I'll be happy to.
Okay.
It's right around that 40 million, and I could be off several million,
Yeah.
so I mean, but I can certainly have that
Well, and just
information.
kind of and I know we had our workshop, but kind of re-educate us on what happens if we're short, where do we get the money? What happens if we're over? Where does that money go?
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks.
And that's the big thing here is this is based on the 135th day of school this year. And we're talking about for the 12 months that are next school year. So there are going to be changes. I mean, I can tell you 201,694,166 today, and it could be very different the 24th or the 45th day of next year. So, I mean, it's a fluctuating number.
Mr. Lovelace?
Nobody else. I mean, I don't want to take your time. But anyway, I heard that, and I've heard from teachers here at this facility, and I've heard from teachers in our high schools that for example, I've heard that the healthcare teachers, that we can't get teachers in that regard because, the salaries in healthcare are much more than they are in teaching. And I asked you last time about those Perkins funds, and that, the reason why I was asking that was, is there any way, I mean, I would hate to see us not offer some, courses because, penny wise and pound foolish. Healthcare industry is the biggest employer, in this state, and yet, because we can't offer the teachers the salary, compensate them well enough, they're not wanting to, to work with us. Is there any way, I mean, I know there's certain laws about that, what you can do and you can't do. But I just wanted to see if we could explore some way, because I'd hate to be not offering our students, healthcare courses that we should be, I mean, that's just.
Mr. Lovelace, may I ask Dr. Turner to make note of that, and let's do some research. I'm not aware that we're not offering courses. It is highly competitive, but there are other fields that Dr. Turner would say that are likely competitive fields where we're having difficulty getting and filling as well. And because of your awareness here at the center, obviously PACE candidates have already been in the career in the field and the alternative certifications that they do to get to come and work. So that may be another variable, but Dr. Turner's making note of that. If we could provide an update, and when Ms. Rawls does the next budget update, we can make sure that that's included for the board to see as well.
Ms. Rawls, I wanted to ask, just to clarify about the National Board Certification, just for teachers in case they didn't hear that. The state always promises it 20 years. Is that their policy right now?
Two 10-year renewals right now
Right.
for those that applied before 2010. So if you were certified before 2010, you have two 10-year renewals. There is current legislation to continue state funding, but there again, I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. But you're looking at some teachers facing a possible $12,500 pay cut.
Right, and what do we give in the district now?
We give 5,000.
And then they
So,
give they give
7,500.
7,500?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, I just wanted to
Now,
clarify
that's
that
only
petition.
through 2010. The ones after 2010 are getting a $5,000 supplement from the state and 5,000 from the district. Before 2010 was 7,500, after 2010 was 5,000.
Would we have to, as a board in the district, have to vote to continue that? Or if we don't, even
It
if the
will be
state?
part of the budget process, so in approving the budget, that would be one thing that you would be approving.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I know you're ready to go home and be in the bed.
Ms.
Do I-
Hammond, I move that we adjourn.
Well, see
Or
if
do
I
we
can
have
get a
something else?
second for adjournment. Ms. Hines is second and waving at me. All those in favor of adjournment, thank you. I'm so sorry it was so late, but it's very important to have heard the people.